What's up, guys? I'm Parker. Today, I want to talk to you about 5 things you might be doing without realizing it that could not only be killing your skateboarding progress, but could be killing your mindset about skateboarding. The first thing I want to talk about is setting rigid goals. I, for one, am terrible about this. It's something that I've been working on, but I always find myself being drawn to setting goals for myself because the feeling of accomplishing those goals can often be what makes a session good or bad. When I was younger, it used to be simple things like, oh, I want to land a double flip today, or I want to ollie this little drop. I want to do a 180 over Home Depot gap. I'd have these little things in mind that, in the back of my mind, I knew were attainable. And back then I always had friends with me, so we'd keep each other going. We'd all have some goals in mind. We'd help each other set goals, and accomplishing those goals on top of just skating with friends was the best. But as I've gotten older, skateboarding has become less about this constant desire for progress and more about self-expression. And for me, the second I step on a skateboard, instantly I have tricks in mind. I don't think I'd necessarily call those goals, but I'll instantly have something in mind that I want to do. Typically, it's a warm-up. Any session I have, I'll have a general warm-up of doing the straight 8 tricks, doing all the heel flips, all the kick flips, and then from there I'll move into tray flips, big spins, varial heel flips, varial kick flips, dolphin flips, hospital flips. I'll work through those, and any more, very, very rarely will all those tricks work in one session. It's once in a blue moon where I can land a varial heel flip and a varial kick flip in the same session. I don't know why that is. It's frustrating, and it gets me down sometimes, but those were some of the goals that I started out setting for myself, and most recently, the goals have been just to maintain tricks. I'm trying to keep myself away from setting these rigid goals, and anymore, the most simple thing I tell myself to do is to have fun, whatever that may be. It might be just skating the little quarter pipe at the skate park, skating the ledge with Quentin and Johnny, simply having a session with Derek or Jared or River, Riley, Raymond, trying to meet up with my friends. As I get older, it's less about what tricks I do and more about how it feels. So I think one thing we could all work on is setting goals based on feel and not based on success or perceived success, for that matter. Next up, and one that we might consider more often than we think, is our setup. Your setup could really be holding you back. Maybe you have some super smooth grip tape. Your bushings are blown. Your wheels are flat spotted like no other. Your trucks are janky and barely hanging on. Your bearings are shot. There's so many things that could be holding you back within your setup. For me, recently I've found that some new wheels and a new board have really been rejuvenating. It feels really, really good. And I think it takes me back to how my old setups used to be. I used to constantly ride somewhat bigger wheels. We'd ride 54, 55, 56 millimeter wheels. And back then, I really didn't consider how having different sized wheels, a different shaped deck, etc. I didn't realize how much that could affect my skating. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that it all messes with your pop timing. For me, pop timing was the biggest thing that messed me up, messed with my skating. Skating boards that had too much concave, I'd find that it took a lot more effort to pop tricks. Not even pop them very high, but just to touch the tail or the nose to the ground and initiate any pop took a lot more effort than I wanted. So I'd end up having to set up for different tricks with my feet closer together. So I think as much as it's very easy for us to all get a little bit of board madness, I think that referring to it as board madness is saying that it's a bad thing. I think that a little bit of board madness is okay. We should be aware of what parts of our setup might be holding us back. I, for one, have found that with bad bearings and flat spotted wheels, my sessions are gonna feel like crap. Not only are you gonna be pushing a lot more to maintain your speed if you like doing tricks at speed, or you're skating a quarter pipe in which you need a little bit of speed to get to the top, bad bearings and bad wheels can really, really ruin the feel of your board. If you have flat spotted wheels and you're carrying any speed at a trick, you're gonna find that your feet are kind of shifting because of the constant vibrations. And not only is that gonna mess up your feet, the setup for your tricks, you're gonna feel that in your ankles, in your knees, all your stabilizer muscles that are constantly fighting that, trying to maintain nice flat posture on the board. That's gonna be a lot harder when your board is vibrating like no other. This doesn't mean that you need to go out and buy new wheels and bearings all the time, but you should keep your eyes out for good deals. You can get bearings now for next to nothing. You can get bearings on Amazon for under $10. You can get wheels for well under 20. They might just be some basic ones. Maybe they'll only last you like a couple months, but you're at least gonna get a month out of some cheap wheels. And for those first 2 weeks, they're gonna feel fantastic. And if that's all it costs, buy a couple sets of those every year. If that's all it takes to keep your skating feeling good, keep your board comfortable under your feet, then that's well worth it. That brings us to number 3. You need to have a good place to skate. Depending on where you live, I'm in the Pacific Northwest. One thing that I found to be really important skating out here is you need to have different options. It's nice to have a place with smooth ground that you can skate all year round, but sometimes the weather will turn on you. Clearly today that's not a problem. But on days when it's super hot, rainy, snowy, windy, etc., you need to have something that gives you some bit of cover from the elements. I have a few different spots in this valley that I go to based on the weather. On days when it's rainy, I know of a few covered spots, one right by the skate park and one about half a mile from the skate park. On days when it snows, I can also go to those 2 spots. Days when it's windy, there's a band shell I know of. I can also skate on my back patio, which is pretty well sheltered from the wind. My alley as well is very well sheltered from the wind because there's a bunch of trees surrounding it. But you need to have a good spot that is sheltered from the elements so that you're able to skate comfortably. Especially this summer with all this heat, we've been in the hundreds for the past week, and it's really, really tough to skate in this weather. It's brutal. I really feel for people that are skating in places like California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Florida. They get some gnarly, gnarly heat, and it's way different. Way, way, way different. I feel for you guys. Maybe they're a little more used to it, but up here when this weather comes out, it just kills everyone. So you really need to work to find a good spot that you can skate that keeps you somewhat sheltered from the elements. Maybe for you it's a place with some shade. Maybe you live somewhere rainy and need somewhere with a roof over top. That could be a parking garage, that could be your garage, it could be your basement. There's a lot of places you just have to use your imagination a little bit and you can find a good spot that shelters you from the elements and allows you to skate year round. Number 4 on our list of 5 things that could be holding you back in skateboarding: comparing yourself to others. I am absolutely horrible about it. I really, really struggle with comparing myself to others. I'm constantly watching skate videos, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. If there's a skateboarding documentary on Netflix, you know I'm watching it. And I don't know why, but in the back of my mind, sometimes when watching these things, I'm comparing myself to them. Oh, this kid's been skating for 5 years and he's already doing stuff that I didn't learn until I was well into my 30s. This kid has such a good style naturally, I know I'll never be able to skate that smooth or be able to do a kickflip that looks that good. It's very, very easy for us to compare ourselves to others, and I think it's something that we all need to work on. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is you yesterday, you a year ago, you when you were 15. That's the only thing that I think it's safe to compare yourself to. Even then we can get in these thought circles that are like, oh wow, when I was 15 I could have done this first try, or I wouldn't have been scared of doing this in my 20s, etc. It's very easy to fall into these thought loops. I do it constantly. I wish it's something that I could stop. I wish I could just turn a switch on my mind and make these thoughts go away. And while I don't think it's easy to make them go away, I think by being aware of them, we can kind of take control of our mind in that aspect and not fall into these thought loops. Just focus on the moment, focus on having fun. I have just as much fun now as I did when I was younger, and as long as that holds true, I'm gonna stay on the skateboard. We're now moving on to number 5, something that I think a lot of us find more difficult to do as we get older, but it's something that becomes increasingly necessary, and that is listening to your body. You gotta understand when enough's enough. I know you're probably not unlike me, and when you were younger, you would skate literally from sunup to sundown, surviving strictly on Mountain Dew, Baja Blast, Snickers bars, and potato chips. And while that's something we did when we were younger and we were okay, if you try to do that now, you are going to regret it. You might not even feel it right then and there, but later on your body's gonna tell you, wow, that was stupid. Why don't you listen to me? And now listening to your body doesn't just have to do with what you're putting in your body, but it also has to do with what your body's saying in the middle of a session. If you find your knees are getting shaky, you're feeling a little dizzy, maybe you're getting a little lightheaded, you need to stop. You need to take a break, listen to your body. Maybe it means drinking some water, getting a Gatorade, getting one of those naked bars, etc. You gotta put something in your body. Reintroduce some into your system so you can keep going. Your body cannot perform well on fumes. Just like a car should never be run until it runs out of gas because that can damage the engine. You cannot perform when you have no electrolytes. When you have nothing in your system, you're not gonna be performing your best. There's a lot of people that like to skate while fasting. A lot of people that will try to do all their workouts fasted, and I understand that. There's some science behind that. People that are trying to lose body fat or trying to keep body fat off, maybe they do perform well while fasting, while having maybe just a little coffee and a little water in their system. They can perform really well at the gym. They can run a few miles, they can burn a bunch of calories. But you gotta understand when you're not giving your body what it needs to accomplish what you're asking from it. For me, as I've gotten older, the pain has become a little more prevalent. For me, a lot of it comes to my lower back and my hips. My knees used to be a lot more of an issue, and my ankles. They definitely lack the mobility that they once had. But it's something that I've been working on and something that I think about a lot more now than I did when I was younger. When I was younger, even when I worked out, none of my workouts were focused on skateboarding at all. I didn't care. I honestly didn't train legs very much. When I was younger, I still have really skinny arms. So I focused on doing arm, chest, back. I would sometimes do quads just because I know quads are a big part of your leg. And when they're big, they look cool. I was just this skinny kid that was super insecure about my skinny frame. And as I've gotten older, I've learned that I need to, instead of trying to change that, I need to learn how to use it. A skinny frame can be a bit of a detriment when you're skateboarding, but if you can keep that frame flexible, then really you can do anything within skateboarding that someone who has a much lower center of gravity can. Look at some of the greats. Chris Cole, Billy Marks, Andrew Reynolds. These guys are not small by any means, and they skate extremely well. Chris Cole's not that tall, but Billy Marks is a big guy. Andrew Reynolds is huge. Ron Whaley is a massive, massive dude, probably the tallest pro skater that has ever been. And this dude shredded. He still shreds. In summary, what listening to your body means is understanding when you're running out of gas. Maybe you're in the middle of a battle, you haven't got it yet, you've landed and fell, and you know that you could go at it for 10, 15 more minutes. But is it worth it? Maybe. You really got to know when to listen to yourself. Don't push your body to the limit every single time you go skating. It's going to really do some damage to you later on. Not drinking water can cause a whole host of problems, and drinking enough water can solve so many things. Not only does having adequate water make your muscles not get as sore, it increases your memory. You're able to speak more clearly. I have dry mouth right now, and I wish I had some water. So once again, listen to your body. Even if you're not as old as I am, I'm 32, gonna be 33 this year, and I don't feel old. And I think a lot of that is in part to me trying to take care of my body, keeping regular with my exercises, trying to not eat that terrible. I do still enjoy a couple donuts every week. But beyond that, I listen to my body, I take care of it. I try to stay up on my stretches. I know when a session is not gonna go that well, and from that point, I know how I need to proceed with the session to not make whatever the problem is worse. I truly, truly hope that those 5 little bits of information can be of value to you. I hope that you can use them. I hope that you can also call out some of your friends that might not be listening to their body well. They might have a terrible setup and just say, oh, it's fine, I've been skating this thing for months, it hasn't caused any problems. Well, it's sure not helping you. I hope that you guys can take some of this advice, pass it on. Leave a comment down below if you think there's something I missed that's important. Here's your verse for the day.
2 Thessalonians 1:6, God is just. He will pay back trouble to those who trouble you and give relief to you who are troubled, and to us as well. I hope that you all can keep faith Stay strong and know that God will see you through any struggle that you're currently facing.
Peace out. God bless. I'll see you in the next one.